Hi, how are you
Hi,
doing?
Nicole. I'm fine. How are you?
Good,
Oh, good,
good,
good.
good. Please make sure I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Banu, Bono,
Bonneau.
Bono.
Oui.
I, first of all, I'm really happy you're here. Um, I just wanted to tell you that I'm a big fan of zero waste in the kitchen. I hadn't met anyone else before who um, it's just not something talked about in everyday life.
Mhm.
So when I discovered what you were doing, I was just delighted. I was intrigued, and it's great to have you, particularly just because of my personal interest. And I would say that I came from the opposite end of zero waste in the kitchen. I started trying to clean up my diet and
Hmm.
my food, and then I discovered uh, just the benefits. So I don't want to give too much away, but I you went plastic free completely in 2011. Tell me a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit
10
more
years ago.
about, yes. So I just love to know how you got started. What was the
Okay.
impetus?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on here. I really appreciate it. So it started, yeah, in 2011. I was reading about plastic pollution in the oceans, and I didn't know that that was a thing, that we have these gyres of plastic swirling around. I recycled. I knew plastic was bad, but I thought, well, I'm doing the right thing. I'm recycling. Gets made into other things, which we all are finding out now that's not true. So yeah, just reading about animals, how they're impacted, the albatrosses feeding plastic to their young, you know, it's heartbreaking. So I told my older daughter at the time, she was 16, I said, we have to get off of plastic. I don't want to be a part of this. I mean, as long as I'm alive, I'm going to be a part of it because I still buy things. I don't see waste in the supply chain before, a product gets to me. So until I buy a farm and grow everything and
Yeah,
start growing flax and weaving my own fabric and sewing my own clothes, I'm still going to contribute, but I wanted to drop out as much as possible. So that's how it started. And then by being conscious of my plastic waste, I started to be aware of other waste, including food waste. And I had no idea that in the US back then, at the time, I think about 2012 is when the report came out from the NRDC, that up to 40% of the food produced in the US goes uneaten. And that has improved a little bit, but it's still 35% or something. It's still really high. I found that just astonishing.
and do you know how that compares to other countries? Just out of curiosity.
Well, worldwide, it's a third. So, and the UN just came out with a report in March. It's their first really comprehensive food waste index, and it's a huge problem everywhere. But yeah, it's pretty bad here. I'm from Canada originally. It's a little bit worse up there, which surprised me. So yeah,
That surprises me too.
yeah, yeah. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. But yeah, it's crazy, crazy problem. Meanwhile, in the U.S., at the end of last year, 2020, something like nearly 54 million Americans faced food insecurity.
Right.
It's
And
just,
we're at what, 350 million Americans? So that's a huge
it is, it
percentage of the
is.
total
Yep.
population.
And a lot of them are children.
Hmm.
So this year it's going to improve a little bit, but by improve, it's 40 million.
And when you got started, what did that look like? First, I'll just say I find this whole question and challenge of making this lifestyle change so relevant. It's one of my goals with PrimaFoodie is to help people make that transition, because that getting started is such a hard part. And for many of us, it's a gradual process.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh,
if
absolutely.
how did that look for you? Was it intentional, or did you just start making small changes one at a time?
Yeah, yeah, we just started making small changes. You can't do it overnight. I remember trying to figure out deodorant and shampoo at the same time. And that was
Right.
really hard, and I looked terrible. I tried this shampoo bar, this first shampoo bar I had. It was awful. But I've found better ones since then. And deodorant, yeah, that was hard. Uh, I think one of the first things we did was started shopping religiously at the farmers market.
Hmm.
So I'm up in Northern California. So like
In San
you,
Francisco?
yeah, just
Yeah.
south of there. So like
Okay.
you down in LA, we have year-round farmers markets here.
Yeah.
So we're really lucky. And the food is just all in loose bins, or it's just loose in bins. And
Hmm.
my daughter and I sewed these produce bags, just super simple. I don't have one in front of me. Super simple, just rectangular bags out of whatever fabric was lying around. And I'm still using some of those that we made back then. And no one ever gives me a hard time. No one has ever said, "How dare you? You must use plastic." And
Yeah.
sometimes the farmer will put in a little extra piece of fruit because I've brought my own bag. So
They
that
appreciate
was
it
a
too.
big, yeah, that was a big switch. And we support the farmers directly. They get a bigger portion of our dollar. There is one farmer at the market who told us that the farmers market saved his family farm.
Wow. Wow.
And the food tastes delicious.
It does. It's a
Oh, it's
different
so good.
thing.
Yeah.
I'm, yeah, we could spend an hour talking about that. I think so many people, so many young people don't know what produce is supposed to taste like, because it's a different thing coming from conventional sources.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, Anne-Marie's daughter has a blog called The Plastic Free Chef. I don't know if she still does it, but I was checking it out and it's fantastic. And she's a really good writer.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Really
No,
helpful
she doesn't
information.
do it anymore. She was 16. She was only 16 when she started
That's
that.
incredible.
And
Yeah.
she didn't like it, but I tried to project manage her a little bit. I'd be like, "So, have you written a post yet this week?" So she did that for a few years. Then she went away to university in Canada and she found it really hard to keep up. So she hasn't written a post for a long time. Occasionally, if I beg her, she'll write a post for me. She now works in waste management. So
Oh,
yeah, she just got her first job, and she's a recycling outreach coordinator. So she does things like she found a couple of businesses, a couple of hotels that weren't recycling. I
hmm.
mean, like not their plastic, glass, paper, or anything. So she's
Wow.
working with one, trying to get it on board and, telling them, like, you're going to save money if you do this. So she's still, I mean, she's like way into waste. I mean, we talk about garbage a lot.
Well, it's relevant. I think that's fantastic. And even if she doesn't do it anymore, I also found it interesting how she talked about her dilemma and how difficult it was to be plastic free once she went to college. And this is what most of Americans face, right?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
the economic challenge of it. So I think it's
right.
it's a really good conversation to have.
It is. Yeah. Plus, she was in a cold, she was up in Canada, in Ontario, and the farmers market runs from maybe May to October, if even that long. So it's a lot harder for her, was a lot harder for her to get unpackaged vegetables. And, the discount grocery store was much more affordable.
Right,
So, yeah.
right. So in your book, you mentioned that when you eliminated the waste, you in turn eliminated packaged, highly processed food, and now you just don't eat it. What are some of the significant changes that you experienced when this happened? Like the health changes?
Well, Okay, I tell people results may vary, but I remember lying in bed one morning and just realizing I haven't been sick in 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, because I stopped eating highly processed food right away. As soon as I went plastic free, I just stopped buying that stuff. And then I started fermenting lots of food. So
Hmm.
I try to eat something fermented every day. So like right now, what do I have? I have sauerkraut and I have kimchi in the refrigerator and some beet kvass, um, lots of sourdough discard. I want to make some crackers today. So yeah, I used to always get sick. I got every cold and every flu going around, and that was a real surprise. I had no idea that would happen. None. But and my anxiety has improved
Mm.
because there's a connection between your gut and your mental health, not just your physical health. So I had no idea that that would happen, and I mean that's a huge benefit.
I think we hear that more and more nowadays, but the average person isn't picking up the gut-brain axis and reading it. So I think that is so poignant, especially right now, coming out of the pandemic, with what people are experiencing and how to manage. We need more and better ways to manage our anxiety. So I just want to
Oh
stay on
yeah,
that
yeah.
topic for another minute and talk about that. Um, Both depression, anxiety, and maybe it's just a nice benefit. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you experienced?
Well, I'm always surprised when people tell me I'm like low key and laid back, and I'm like, if you were in my head, yeah, you would not think that, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've been kind of anxious my whole life. My whole family were all like, I don't know,
Well,
perfectionists.
yeah, so am
Yeah,
I.
so I'm a recovering perfectionist.
Yeah, my husband always says he's a pretty goodist, and it's a good thing to be, and I'm a
It
perfectionist, so we're a good
is
team.
pretty goodist, pretty goodist. Yeah, I think I used to worry about, I wouldn't try things because I was afraid of failing. And now I just try stuff. I just dive right in. A lot of it
Yeah,
works out. If it doesn't, so what?
yeah. So, and again, this is just a happy byproduct of when you
Oh,
decided to
yeah.
try to eliminate plastic.
Yep.
And you also mentioned in your book that zero waste is not an all or nothing proposition. So what are some easy ways and approachable ways that people can begin this journey? You mentioned shopping at the farmer's market.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any more tips?
Well, Plastic Free July is coming up. It's coming right
Hmm.
up in a couple of weeks. So that's a great place to start. And on the Plastic Free July website, they talk about eliminating the big four or cutting at least one of the big four. So now let's see, that is single use plastic bags like shopping
Hmm.
bags and produce bags, plastic bottles, plastic food containers, and plastic food wrappers. So if you tackle, one of those, that's a great way to start.
Hmm.
And you're probably not going to stop there because there are just so many benefits from doing this. And I don't know, you feel good about not using all of that plastic. So
And also, once you get started, you realize there are so many other opportunities that wouldn't actually take much effort,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, like the big four, that's not hard. Take a reusable water bottle with you. If you don't have a reusable water bottle, take a mason jar. They're super durable. I was at my niece's wedding, must have been 2019. Didn't go to any weddings last year. And I
I
forgot my
remember.
water bottle but I had my mason jar. So I just carried that with me at the hotel we were staying in. And it was actually nicer to drink out of than my stainless steel bottle. I enjoyed it a lot more. It looked nicer, and I would put it under the ice machine at the hotel. And yeah, it was great.
Yeah. There's a company called the Mason Jar Company, I think it is. They make really nice leather straps, like a new version of
Oh,
coolies, but they go around the mason jar and snap into place so you don't get condensation on your hands. They make lids with a straw
like
hole.
sippy lids. And
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah, we use
nice.
those a lot because they're tempered glass. So, and I stopped buying plastic dishes and stuff a long time ago. So I used those for my daughter, even when she was a toddler.
Oh,
I
wow.
used glass.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, yeah. So, is there a bigger ask with regards to our standards for growing and transportation practices? I want to dive into this a little because there's there are the things that we can do for ourselves. And then when I start thinking and looking into where so much of our carbon emissions come from, um, even before it gets to us, it's from what I understand, most of the impact. And so I think it starts with us, but what can we do to impact? I think there's we need to demand more of the sourcing of our products. Did you experience this? What did you learn about um, the impact of plastic and before it even gets to us?
Oh, well, yeah, it harms the environment all along its life cycle. It's when it's extracted, it, I mean, gives off all sorts of nasty chemicals. Fracking, a lot of the whatever it's called from fracking, a lot of that's
The
going
oil
into
extraction.
plastic. Yeah, and then when it's refined, a lot of the times it's refined in communities where people of color live. And there's a great documentary from the Story of Stuff. It's called The Story of Plastic. It talks all about this. And in that documentary, there's one city where the childhood rates of cancer near this one refinery are something like 50% higher than average.
Hmm.
It's awful. Then the stuff is manufactured. Then it's used for what, 15 minutes? And then it's thrown out. Only 9% is recycled. Recycling is not a process without its own impacts when
Right.
recycling does happen. And then a lot of it ends up in the oceans. It pollutes the natural environment. When it breaks down, it contributes to emissions. I mean, and a lot of it is for stuff we don't need. Like a lot of it is for I believe the number one plastic polluter is Coca-Cola. I might be wrong about that. It might be a tie, but like the top ones, Coca-Cola, Nestle, Nestle pumping water out of California during, I think, still right now they're doing it. I mean, they had, let's see, the state told them to stop, but I think they're still fighting over it. We're in an extreme drought now. I don't think
Right.
people around the country know what's happening here.
Yeah.
I'm ordering my masks today. I have it on I pulled up the website. Not COVID masks, the other masks for the fires, when the fires start. So it's
They're
really
going,
bad.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
And
anyway,
also
sorry, I went off
conventional
on a tangent.
agriculture. That's okay. Yeah, no, it's interesting. So, um, yes, I forgot what my question was. Um, yeah, I was thinking of water usage and the state of California, and I don't know if it's the same across the country, but I also read somewhere that conventional agriculture was one of the biggest usages of it.
I think agriculture uses 80% of the fresh water in California.
Yes, that's what I heard.
And some of the problems with conventional agriculture are it strips the soil away, strips away the topsoil. It doesn't retain water well because the soil is so nutrient poor. So yeah, like rotationally grazing animals, planting diverse crops, that all helps retain moisture in the soil. I mean, if you have I'm not a farmer, I'm not an expert, but I do know that, if you're doing monocropping, which is huge monocultures of the same plant year after year after year, I mean, it just destroys the soil. So, yeah. And then if it can't, sorry, go ahead.
I was just, it made me think about your comment about recycling, that it's not without its other detrimental impact. And it's switching from multi-use plastic, single-use plastic to recyclable plastic is one thing, but it's still not an answer, because it's still eventually, you can only recycle so many times.
Right.
And so eventually it still ends up in the oceans. So if we can just make it easier to just get rid of it, stop. And sorry, people in the plastic industry, but what else are we going to do?
No, we have to stop. We have to stop at the source. That's the only way. The companies are producing so much plastic, it's not possible to manage it. It's not possible to recycle it. There's just way too much. And the oil companies are ramping up to increase production because the writing's on the wall. No one wants their product. The cars are going electric. Hopefully we electrify the grid, and we're going to get off of fossil fuels sooner than later, hopefully very soon.
You're optimistic.
Well, yeah, I mean, just with those lawsuits or those court cases a couple of weeks ago, Shell and some other oil companies they're being ordered to clean up their act. And then which one was taken over? I don't know. One of the oil companies has like these rogue hedge funds are taking them over and forcing them to. Yeah, I have to read it because I'm just rambling now. But
so walk me through a day in your life, because it could, if from the outside, it could seem like you spend a lot of time just sort of doing basic human functions every day. It's very old fashioned, and I'm sure you live in the modern age. So walk me through a day in your life. How much time do you actually spend kind of homesteading and doing things that you could do a lot faster with plastic?
Oh, well, yeah, if I could feed myself a lot faster if I went to the store and grabbed, I don't know, to-go sandwiches and stuff. Yeah, that would save me time. That's true. I don't spend a huge amount of time cooking. I cook large vats of food at once, so I'll make a lot of soup. I made a lot of pesto last week, and I just finished that last night. It was really good. I made it with fennel fronds and parsley. Yeah, and I had roasted the fennel fronds the fennel bulb and the stalks, and then I had the fronds left and made pesto. And let's see, today I'm going to make a big batch of sourdough crackers, and I'll put them in the refrigerator. I won't bake them today, probably. I don't know. I have to bake a peach galette today for Instagram. So a lot of my time is spent feeding the Instagram monster. If I didn't have to do that, I would have a lot more time. That takes more time than living like this.
So it's become your job, this platform.
Oh yeah. Right now it is. Yeah. Because my book came out in April. So that was a big, working on the book and the push to get it out. That was a big, huge job. And then,
Congratulations.
oh, thank you. And then all of the events after. And with Plastic Free July coming up, I have a bunch of events lined up and a lot of speaking engagements.
In person?
No, but this is just for employees. I'm a total geek. The Johnson Space Center is doing Plastic Free July, the employees, and I'm gonna give them a talk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
That's a big deal. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that.
So I'm this is more than full time now, but it's not because of all the cooking. Maybe I spend more time than the average person cooking, I guess. Another thing is teach your kids to cook if you have kids and get them to cook. Because my daughter, Mary Catherine, so she spoke a little bit late, but she learned to cook before she learned to speak. She was helping me in the kitchen. I remember she would push a chair up to the counter and she would dump flour in the KitchenAid. She was just not even talking. Yeah. And I didn't give them formal cooking lessons like, okay, now today we're going to make this. They just would help and they just learned. And because
they learn through osmosis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because mom can't do everything herself. Women are more invested, I think, in trying to mitigate the climate crisis. And we can't do it by ourselves. We need everybody.
Right. And the side benefit of that is it just raises more self-sufficient human beings.
Yeah. Yeah. When my older daughter went off to college, her roommates thought she was like a cooking god because she can make stir fry. I mean, she can make way more than that, but that was one thing she made a lot. And they were like, oh my God, how do you make that? And this tastes amazing. And yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this conversation. Is there anything else you want to add? And for those, you have a really, really inspiring following already, but for any of my followers or people just tuning in, where can people find you?
Well, my blog is zerowastechef.com. Mm-hmm. And then I'm on here at Zero Waste, and I'm on Facebook at Zero Waste, Twitter at Zero Waste. Oh, Clubhouse, are you on Clubhouse? I haven't done hardly anything with it.
I'm on it, but not on it.
Yeah.
Signed up.
Yeah. Yes. The thing I like about it, although I haven't done hardly anything with it, is it's just talking. So there are no visuals to make, no graphics, no lighting. So anyway, I'm on all of those. And one thing I would tell people if you're interested in trying to reduce plastic and food waste is just give it a try. Don't worry about being perfect. It's not possible. Zero waste is not possible. It sounds a lot better than the zero waste movement sounds a lot better than try and cut some of my waste movement. But it's just a goal. Don't get hung up on the zero.
Right. Good point.
Yeah.
One step at a time.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks everybody for coming.
Okay. Keep in touch.
Okay, yeah, you too.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.